We have breaking news. Adam Schefter tweeted 1 minute ago, after a presumptive positive player test today, all Jets players and coaches were just sent home, per source. So while we get good news out of Tennessee, and we get good news out of New England, and we get good news, what was the third one today?
The Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Titans.
And the Titans were the third.
Negative.
We get this news from, again, this is from Schefter. This is all I have. After a presumptive positive player test today, all Jets players and coaches were just sent home.
Yeah,
so Diana, take us through the protocols here. Now what happens?
Yeah, I'm getting a text message right now from someone on that staff that is saying the same thing that Schefter is. So usually what happens is the league steps in immediately when there's a positive test for COVID, when a player's result comes back, and they are the ones to usually shut the facility down. I know in Tennessee, it was actually the GM there who shut it down before the league even stepped in at that point. But now they start working from home, it becomes virtual, and they start using that tracing to figure out who else was around and exposed to that player.
But let's do math here. Then they play Sunday. This is Friday. They play the Cardinals Sunday. We're not going to do the picks piece today, by the way, guys, because obviously this game is now very much in question. What happens here? This is Friday. They've been sent home. They've had a week of work. If they get negative tests, could they still, in theory, play this game Sunday?
Yeah, you're going to see what we kind of saw with New England, right? Cam tested positive Saturday morning. He took that test Friday night. They did move that game, though, so you have to figure that I'm sure it's already starting to be discussed what they're going to do with that game. It will potentially probably be moved, but here's the other part of this is they need to figure out who that player is and who was exposed to him. And I'm going to guess if it's a player like Cam Newton who was around a lot of people, a quarterback, let's say, I'm sure the league is going to have to consider moving that. But all this is very fluid as it comes down, as the league tries to make these decisions with the players union.
I'm just trying to follow this as it's breaking across. I apologize for looking down here, but this is literally developing as we speak. Diana, how would go ahead? You look like you have more.
No, go ahead.
Okay. How would you characterize the reaction the league has had to all of this? Which is the question I'm asking you is, have things happened that were unexpected? Is this more challenging than you believe the league expected going into this season?
I actually think this isn't as challenging as the league expected. The league was prepared to see this. And the fact that we've gone this far into this season, we're headed into week 5 here, and this has happened, it's not as alarming. They've done a really good job. And here's the thing. They've really tightened these protocols. And talking to teams that are up and running and they're practicing and they're safe and they're COVID-free, they've upped it even more within their facility about how seriously they take it. But as we've learned, and I talked to people in New England about how serious Bill Belichick takes COVID, and it doesn't shock anyone that they do take it as serious as you can imagine, it still doesn't matter. It's still a pandemic. And this is what we saw Mike Vrabel talking about last week. It's nobody's fault.
Right.
This happens. Players are going home to their wives, their children who are spending time in their communities. This is going to happen, and not all these tests are coming back correct.
Let me just make 100% clear what you just said. The Cardinals and Jets are scheduled to play a 1 o'clock Eastern time game here across the river in MetLife Stadium. Would you expect, did you just say you would expect that game will be moved?
I don't know just now, but you have to look at this as they're not going to want this to spread and have another situation that we saw with Tennessee.
Clearly not. No. Ryan Clark, let me come to you if I still have RC. Ryan, what's your reaction here?
No, I mean, I think this is where we are. This is the times that we are in. And I believe the NFL understood that this was a possibility, which to me is puzzling why you would try to have the season as you normally do, not give yourself a little wiggle room or some opportunity to reschedule games later on in the season. And obviously, if they want to start to push things back as you look at playoffs and different things that way, or if you're going to do a win percentage as it comes to the playoff situation, I just think that when you look at these guys, 53 players plus, also staff members, and you think about the families, this is going to be an issue. So I wish the NFL would have prepared better before the season to be able to handle these things a little differently than they are now.
Okay, so again, these are developing here. Can bring Bart Scott in. Go ahead to the conversation. We'll get Mark Sanchez in here as well. I'm just following. Schefter just tweeted now 2 minutes ago, the Cardinals are scheduled to leave for New York today. So now there are questions whether they can leave to fly east for Sunday's game against the Jets. I will repeat, that is a game that is scheduled for 1 o'clock Eastern time, the early window on Sunday. Cardinals, Jets at MetLife Stadium. Bart Scott, you played for the Jets. You host a local talk show here in New York City on ESPN Radio New York. What is your reaction? Again, the Jets have been sent home today because of a positive test.
Well, I'm surprised, Greeny, because I still work for the Jets, so I go over there every day. And when you go in there, you take your COVID test. You go there every Monday. They give you a device to make sure that you wear it around. If you're around anybody, they can contact trace. But this was expected. I understood that, they knew that this was going to be a possibility. That's why I believe that the NFL kept the season on schedule so that they can have time to push things back, understanding that, February is still an opportunity. March is even an opportunity. That's why they didn't push the season back. That's why they started the season, because they knew they had time.
That's the important part. I don't think a lot of people realize they have March slotted for weeks to push the Super Bowl even. So there's a plan in place. This is just all happening at the same time, which is why it feels so alarming and perhaps scary for some people. But this is something that the league knew and anticipated.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.